Tonight's episode of the Fairweather Rugby Fan is brought to you by Afrikaans speakers who call you my friend. It doesn't mean what you think it means. Well, it's Monday. After what was I'd like to say, unless you're a Lions fan, an absolutely horrible weekend of club rugby. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, personally, I had a pretty good weekend, I'm not gonna lie, and otherwise, it was a very interesting weekend to say the least.
How did your college football picks pan out for you?
Honestly, I was hoping Old Miss was gonna go all the way, but they kind of lost to Miami. And then Indiana, it was kind of like a given, and they totally destroyed. So, Indiana versus Miami for the final.
So, since you're over there, I know it's kind of hard to understand the shifting dynamics of the NIL era in college football, but the conference that was dominant for so many years, the SEC, it's over because those states can't keep up financially with a state like Indiana or a state like California. They just financially can't keep up, and it's going to become the last of the holdouts will probably be like Georgia and Texas. Alabama, it's going to go down. They're going to go. It's going to. They don't have the money to keep up with like a Southern California, or a Texas or a Georgia. They just don't have the money, and it's going to become the norm. You're going to have five or
No,
six really wealthy teams that win it every year. So,
yeah, and you can see by the likes of Indiana how dominant they were like this year, this entire year. Even in the playoffs, they've been keeping people scoreless. I think like in the last two games, they only gave away 3 points in total.
and that quarterback is making. I think he's making like right at like 5.5, 6 million a year.
To play college ball. Imagine.
Which this is all going to end up trickling to the NFL at one point. You're already seeing it in the NFL. There's only about 4 or 5 really top level quarterbacks in the NFL. Everyone else is a scrub, and this is going to make that worse. You're going to have 3 or 4 maybe elite level quarterbacks. Everyone else is just going to be a spare part because the NIL. I mean, you're already seeing the transfer portal. You're seeing guys that are on their 4th team in 4 years. Yeah, like you're not developing anything. You can't, as in rugby, you have to find a place, you have to sit there, you have to develop, then you can kind of move around. You can't hopscotch every year and expect to get better. It just doesn't happen like that. So, did you watch all 4 games?
I did not. I was kind of at work for most of them.
Okay. I don't know which one was the most disgusting to watch. Let's start out with. Did you watch the Lions game?
I would never miss a Lions game.
Looked really good in that first half. That second half, they almost shit the bed.
We started falling apart, I'm not going to lie, but isn't that what the Lions do these days? We start very well against any team, but as soon as we play, come second half, we start dropping it. That's what happened in the Curry Cup. We look at the game we played against the Stormers. We were very good in the first half. We lost it in the second half. It's just what we've been doing, but luckily we managed not to throw this one away totally.
But it was Lions versus Lyon, which is, I guess, the exact same thing in French. So we had 2 of those this weekend. We had the Lions versus Lions in the Challenge Cup, and then we had the Sharks versus Sharks in the Champions Cup. And the 2 games that nobody will stop talking about are the Bulls at home giving up 61 fucking points,
but coming back with 49.
How do you have that many points scored in a game? Like, there was no defense. And If you do get a chance to watch that Storm or that Bulls Bristol Bears game, dude, the Bulls had no deep. Like, dude, they were literally walking tries in. Like, that's how bad the Bulls.
Watched a bit of the Bulls game. I watched a bit of the Bulls game, but yeah, like you said, there was like no defense at all, and that's what I was thinking. Like, because I didn't watch the start of it. Like, I only started watching the second half because I saw what the scores were happening, and then I was like, okay, let me watch what's happening a bit.
But it was like 49-28 at halftime. Like, it was just disgusting to watch. And then you had the Stormers basically sending up a B-side to play the Harlequins in England, and that was it was like 55-0 at one point, or 54-0 at one point. Like, it was fucking bad. And I'm just going to come out and say this. I don't think, like, I don't mind being in the URC. I think that's great. I don't think we should be playing in the Champions or Challenge Cup. Period. I don't think we should be playing.
Personally, I also don't think we should be playing there, but I do like that we're playing there because I like the championship and everything. But when it comes to like a logistical standpoint, I also don't really think it's feasible. It doesn't make sense.
It's just, for me, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's very European. It's very European. Like, how excited they get about it. We didn't, like, look. There was a statement made after the Harlequin Stormers game, and it was an English guy saying, oh, imagine sending a South African side all the way up to England to get destroyed by an English side. And I'm looking at their starting 15 for Harlequins and being like, what English side? You've got Pumas, you've got Scott, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, a South African side that was South African played a club team based in England that was 50% English players. It's like, oh man, I say this all the time. They don't want our teams, but they have zero problem with our players. Like, they don't want South African club teams in their competitions. Oh, but they don't mind having a Van Rensburg or a Dupria on their team. Like,
the other day, I posted a video about the Stormers game, and I actually got a comment where someone said the time for the South African clubs are over.
I had another guy that I used to bring on here, Colin. He's an Irish guy, and he said something that I had never heard in my life before. He compared a club rugby match. He was like, oh, this is as close to a test rugby atmosphere as possible. And I'm like, test and club are completely different. They're not the same. And I guess saying that, knowing that our clubs don't really do the greatest and never have, but we've won more World Cups than anyone else. And I hate to say it, man. Like, this is going to be controversial that I'm saying this. You know why I think the Europeans struggle so bad every 4 years at World Cups? Because of the amount of emphasis they put on club rugby. Like, that is their end-all, be-all. Like, they compare it to test rugby, and I'm just like, okay, that's a big red flag right there. You don't.
Funny enough, you bring that up. Yeah, funny enough, you bring that up. I saw a video on TikTok the other day where someone else, I can't remember who, but somebody else also made the exact point, but about France specifically, saying the reason France won't win a World Cup is because they put club rugby first. And then I was thinking about it, like, you know what, that is kind of true, you know.
And I mean, like, I tip my hat to France. Their club rugby system is bar none probably the best in the world. They make money. Their stadiums are packed, albeit they play in, I've said it before, they play in dinky stadiums. They play in 10, 15, 20,000 seat stadiums. They don't play in test stadiums like we do. Once again, that became another thing. Oh, why are there nobody at your games? Well, you know, like, I watched, who did I watch yesterday? Was it? It was a game in England, and their stadium, like, probably seated 9,000 people. It wasn't even full. I'm like, there could have been 20,000 people at that game at Loftus, and it looks empty because it's Loftus. There could have been 20,000.
I actually saw how many people were there. There were exactly 11,000 people at Loftus this week.
And it looked empty. Like, look.
Ellis Park was empty. They only had 2,000 people, man. It was depressing.
What was that for Ellis Park? Was that their attendance was 2,000?
2,000 something, yes.
I did have a follower that was at the game, and I actually saw her on TV, and I was like, way to go. And she was there with her kids and, like whatever. But it was like, I'm sure Nkosi was there. I'm sure he was at the Lions game because that guy doesn't ever miss a game, it seems. Like he's at every game. So, but
I really wanted to go this weekend, but I had work. But then I figured I was going to take off this weekend, right? Use some of my leave days. But then I figured, you know what? The Lions are going to have a 3-game home streak at the end of
the regular season.
No, it's like in 2 weeks. They're going to have a 3-game streak where they play at home, right? So I just thought, just go watch those 3 games.
I was going to ask you something. Do they charge, like for the Challenge Cup as opposed to the URC, do they charge a higher price for those tickets, or is it the exact same price for those tickets?
The exact same price.
Exact same? Okay. Because I know over in Europe, the Champions Cup tickets have a little bit more of a premium value to them because it's a Champions Cup.
It's very cheap as well. It's very affordable to go watch rugby in South Africa. I'm not going to lie. Well, club rugby, not international rugby. That's a bit expensive.
Well, you say that, but I've seen some of the ticket prices at Cape Town Stadium, and they're fucking ridiculous, man.
Okay, to be fair, Ellis Park's tickets is like $60 for the cheapest ticket, $200, then you're sitting nicely next to the field.
Man. Well, and something I was going to ask. So say you buy like a cheap ticket to a Lions game. Do you ever like sneak down to get closer? Or do they actually say, no, you have to sit where your ticket says you have to sit?
Here's a little life hack. As soon as you're into the gate, nobody cares where you go.
Yeah. Because that's what I would do, honestly. Like, if I had a cheap ticket, I'm going to go sit where the boys come out of the tunnel. And that's where I'm going to sit right at the 50, and I'm just going to, you know what I mean, just have a good view of it. I might sit up a little higher, though, because for anybody that's never been to Ellis Park, it's fucking massive. Like, it is massive inside that place. So, like, I'd get up just so I have a bit of unobstructed view to both sides. But, yeah, it was just kind of one of those things. It's another weekend where it ended, and I had made a video where I said, hey, look, there is a silver lining in this because, now Europeans are absolutely convinced that they're going to fucking beat us this summer when they come down here. And it always ends the same way, them getting their asses handed to them and moving on. Like it's the emphasis that it seems that Europeans put on rugby. We've just never, and maybe it's because we played in Super Rugby for so long where New Zealand pretty much just owned the competition. So you couldn't use that as a barometer as to how good your rugby was because it didn't mean anything at the end of the day. Maybe that's what it is.
That is true. But if you think about it, New Zealand, their teams, if you have to think like today, I don't think their teams would be quite as competitive against us as they were back then.
No.
There's no way. Their teams have fallen off. Like Super Rugby is not as respected as it was.
Agreed. 100%. But I still just think that like this whole emphasis on club rugby that the Europeans have, I kind of think it's like it's going to be their downfall, and they're going to have to eventually understand that like you can't put all your emphasis on club. You've got to look at your national team. But I think it's also different in the respects that you look at a country like Ireland. You can't play for Ireland if you play outside of Ireland. Their restrictions are so big. France, the same exact way. England, I think, allows you to an extent. I know Wales is like, if you get like 40 caps, you can leave. Scotland, I don't think they give a shit where you play if you live in Scotland because they only have 2 teams. But I think for us,
I think Scotland and Wales both let their players play in England as well, eh?
Yeah. And like you look at us, for example, I don't even. Our best players really. I mean, Sasha obviously plays for the Stormers, but like Cheslin, Peter Steph-Toy. I watched a bit of Japan rugby this week. Sam Kane got another red card Saturday. He got another fucking red card. Just like he did in the World Cup final. Our best players really don't even play in the URC. They play in Japan. Like they don't even. And we just don't. I don't know, man. Like. You do what you got to do, but I think this whole idea that this is comparable to test, it's not. Because if it was test rugby, those wouldn't be the score lines you'd see. They would not. I'm sorry, guys. It would not. You're not. You beat a B Stormers team. You're not beating the Springboks. It's just not happening. I'm sorry. Marcus Smith does not own the Springboks.
Listen, I'm going to be honest now. Wait, I want to be honest now. They just like the Stormers, if you're going to lose, do it spectacularly. This is their first loss of the year. Well done. Harlequins, they've been on a tough run. They finally got lucky and won a game, let's be honest.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, if you're going to lose badly. And I mean...
Exactly.
They're going to hold on to this. We're already, we'll sit here and deal with the talk online. Like I said, you're already seeing it. The European fans, the Springboks are finished. And it's like, are you sure about that? We didn't lose a single game at the end of the year, guys. Are you sure about that? Like it's just...
I also have one friend who's a Stormers supporter, né? Now, he secretly hopes the Stormers loses this weekend so they can end up in the Challenge Cup for the round of 16, because he says it's much easier. Then he doesn't have to worry about who he has to play. Then he knows they're going to win it.
I still think that the Stormers are going to be a hard team to beat. Obviously, Leinster playing La Rochelle over the weekend and getting a single point victory. It was a great match. Honestly, it was classic. But looking at that and kind of going
yeah, funny enough. My one friend also said he thinks Leinster is going to blow them out of the water. I told him this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a classic. And look what happened. You can never, even if La Rochelle is not playing bad, you can never count them out. They can always pull a rabbit out of a hat.
I think that's also going to be kind of the downfall of Ireland's rugby, is because they put so many of their players on one team. You already see it. I've brought this up before in the past. Sam Prendergrass, Leinster fans are absolutely diehard about him. And I'm like, that guy hides behind his forwards because he can. And then when he plays test rugby, he hides behind his forwards because it's the exact same pack in front of him. You got to get a guy. You get a guy like Sasha Feinberg. You got to learn how to fucking move, because you can't just rely on the guys in front of you. It doesn't work like that. And once again, I think that if you're gauging your national team on club rugby performance, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. And we've had to learn that. We've had to learn that. Europeans probably might need to, when you've won one World Cup and the existence of it, maybe you might need to go what are we doing wrong here? But they don't. They don't want to do that because they think that their way is the right way and our way is the wrong way. Despite...
To be fair, we can't say Europeans have won only one World Cup, because 70% of the World Cups do belong to only two countries.
Exactly.
So it's the rest of the world needs to learn.
Yeah, and I mean, you're at least seeing it with Kiwis. They're kind of coming out and realizing, yeah, we're not the best anymore. We need to figure things out. And they're going to do that by doing a tour of South Africa this summer, which is going to be massive. This is going to be massive. And I'm still standing by my prediction that I think this is going to be very painful and eye-opening for the Kiwis. I think they're going to realize how far they really have fallen behind us.
My wild prediction for this year.
Go ahead.
The Lions are going to beat the All Blacks. Just because I believe in the Lions.
Watch it happen. Watch it happen. Watch them put out like a weak ass squad, and you guys shock them.
My belief alone is going to be powering the Lions to beat the All Blacks.
Because I honestly, as much as I love Hashim Peed, I don't see him getting capped this year, at least not against the All Blacks. Maybe he'll get capped against a tier 2 team that we play or whatever, you know.
I don't. I mean, if you look at it this way, he's very good, but at the moment he's playing. He's stuck. He's stuck on the bench behind Van der Berg at the Lions at the moment.
Yeah.
So there's no way they're going to give him a cap because he hasn't really even gotten game time in the URC or in the Champions Cup. I mean, he's played from the bench twice now, and that's about that. He isn't really. Oh no, he benched and started a game or something, but he's not really gotten exposure yet.
I still think though that like after 2027, he's going to move in because obviously I think Kobus Reineck will be done by that point, and I think the scale will move up. Obviously, it'll become Grant Williams, then Morne Vandenberg, and then probably Hashim Peed at third will be the third choice. But we also know with the direction that the Springboks are going is that it seems that every player they're bringing in now, Zachary Porthen, they're bringing in hybrids. Everybody that's coming in can play multiple positions. So we see Hashim Peed as a 9. He might not even be a 9. He might be a 15.
Or at wing.
Or at wing. Yeah, like we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with these guys. Like we don't know. Like the Bulls fans, and I'm and I agree with this. Cameron Hennecom, like they're like, oh, he's going to be the replacement for Jasper Fisa. Cameron Hennecom might be playing 6 for all we know. Like we don't know. Zachary Porthen, who knows what side is he going to be, loose or tight head, or is he going to be both?
You can look at someone even like what's his name, Evan Roos from the Stormers, a pretty explosive player. He can easily slot in on flanker.
Yeah, you don't know. Ruan Norkia, we look at him as a lock, but he might be playing flanker. He might be the new Seuss. He might be Franco Mustard replacement. He plays flanker and lock equally. We don't know, and we don't know, and we can't gauge that on club matches either. We don't gauge these guys' performance on how. Like, I don't think Sasha Feinberg is the best player in the world because he plays for the Stormers. No, he's the best player in the world because he plays for the Springboks. It's not how he plays. You can't judge these guys based on club performance. And I think maybe that's a South African thing. Maybe that's because I grew up on South African rugby. That's how I've always looked at it. I don't care that you won a Champions Cup. I want to see you win a World Cup. That's all that matters to me. Like we can.
Let me put it like this. Yeah, let me put it like this. Personally, I love watching the Lions play. I love watching club rugby, but that's more because I like watching sports in general. It's not like a club rugby thing, because like you say, I watch football, I watch basketball, I watch racing, I watch sometimes hockey. I don't even know the rules, but I was watching the Hockey World Cup just to support South Africa. I have no idea what's happening, but I'm watching. You see, so I like watching sports. So personally, I like the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup, but just because, it's just more rugby. So it's more sports to watch.
Well, I mean,
it's not like, but if you have to pick like one thing to be successful at, it would, the only thing we really care about is what happens every 4 years. Who wins the World Cup?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like I said, I think that's kind of the thing too, is that we like to do this idea where, like I said, for me, club rugby is not the end all be all of everything. It's fun to watch, but I also don't like I've said it before. When we beat Leinster, we're not beating Ireland. We're beating Leinster. When you beat the Sharks, you're not beating the Springboks. You're beating the Sharks. When you beat the Bulls, you're not beating the Springboks. You're beating the Bulls. And treat it like that.
Exactly. It's like, how do you put this? Like, the Lions, if the European teams beats the Lions, who really cares? The Lions don't have a lot of Springboks. But when they beat the Bulls, then they're like, oh, now we're going to beat the Springboks, wada. But the Springboks, we have a combination of all of our team's players, unlike them.
Once again, we spread our players out. The only team in the URC that isn't highly represented by Springboks is the Lions right now. But I mean, there's also guys on there that I think have the potential. Obviously, Labokanye, definitely there. Mornay Vandenberg, definitely there.
You know what I usually tell people?
Yeah, should definitely be in there more, but he's not.
You know what I usually tell people? Ne? The Lions is the only team in the URC that doesn't have any Springboks. Ne? We have fringe players, but they're not like full primary Springboks.
Yeah.
They're on the fringe, you know?
Yeah.
If there's any major injuries, they could get in easily. They could get the call up. They always, have to wait and listen for the phone.
But I think that makes them hungrier too, because you kind of see guys like Kuan Horn. I'll bring him up repeatedly. Kuan Horn should be a regular mainstay with the Springboks, but he's not.
Horn is like my favorite player at the moment. I can't choose between him and Mornay Vandenberg because, obviously my favorite player has to be a Lions player, but both of those guys are pretty good at the moment.
And you look at those guys and they should be regularly capped players for the Springboks. They're not. They're not, obviously. I think Mornay is getting a bit more often. Mornay Vandenberg is getting a bit more. It's like him and Grant Williams are kind of the second choice now behind Kobus Reinek. And I think...
Yeah, Mornay has gotten a few right now that I think about it.
Like, he's become a mainstay. And I've enjoyed the way he played. And, like, honestly, at first I worried that he was going to be the old style, the Foff de Klerk box kicking guy. And it's like, no, he's kind of proven like, no, I can pick up the ball and run. Like, and that's what, like, it's why we like guys like Grant Williams, because they're just so unpredictable out of the back of the ruck. Mornay is that way now too. He's very unpredictable out of the back of the rucks, and you love to see it because it's like, with Foff, I can go back and watch those games and I could call everything he was doing at every ruck. It's like, he's going to box kick off his left. He's going to box kick off his right. When you see Mornay pull up at the back of these rucks, sometimes you're like, what's he going to do? Is he going to offload to somebody, or is he going to pick it up and just fucking go? And a lot of times, the tries he scores in games, he picks that shit up and just says, fuck this, I'm running it myself. And you love it. You love to see it. You love to see that explosiveness.
Yeah, he's a very explosive player, You never know what to expect from him.
But in the same respects, if we have to go back to that old Springbok style, that Foff and Andre style, he's really the only guy that I can see doing it. Like, if we had to go back to that kick him to death thing.
And if you check it, but if you put it this way, where did Foff learn how to play like that? At the Lions. Now, where is Mornay learning how to play like that? At the Lions.
Yeah.
We see where, we find common connections.
It's and I mean, you look even at like a guy like Kuan Horn. Where did Quokka Smith learn to play like that? At the Lions.
But if you look at it, Ned, when the Lions were playing against the Sharks the other day, now I was thinking to myself, like, I was sitting there watching the rugby with my mom and my grandma. Now my grandma knows nothing about rugby. Now I'm telling her it's the Lions from then versus the Lions from now. She's asking me, why am I telling her that? Because as the game goes, I'm like, and you see a Sharks play, I'm like, look, Jordan Hendrick, he was a Lion. Sansuka, both of them, they were Lions. And every player that just passes, even like if you see Whiteley in the coaching box, they even showed him, like, even the coach, he's a Lion. Like, he was the captain of the Lions in 2015.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, that whole situation too, that you look at the Sharks and how they've been built. Their Curry Cup team is terrible because they don't build anything. They just buy everything. They buy all their pieces. Yeah. The Lions Curry Cup team is competitive because they're building. It's an academy. I mean, I had a former guy that played here in Major League Rugby, Vohan Isaacs. He's out of the Eastern Cape. He played for Golden Lions. That was who he went to.
What? At one point, Vaughan Isaacs was my least favorite player.
You're going to have to tell me why.
It literally happened over one game. It was the Lions versus the Sharks. I don't know why it's always the Lions versus the Sharks. But for some reason, it's always the Lions versus the Sharks. And the Lions were up with like 5 minutes left. We take the kickoff. He makes a mistake and kicks it out on the full. I'm really mad at him. They get a scrum on the halfway. From the scrum, they get a penalty. From the penalty, they get a line out. From a line out, they get a moiling try to win the game. And everything started with him. And right after that, it gets worse. Right after that, they kick it off to him. He knocks the ball. Once again, they score a try again, and we lost the game. Over 2 plays, he just had a very terrible 2 plays, right? And it cost the Lions the game. So for let's say about half a year, I was very mad at him.
So let me tell you a funny story. So obviously, Bohan Isaacs played here in Dallas for their last 2 years of existence. Now he was playing in LA. He's done. I don't think he's coming back to the MLR. So that last year that Vohan was here, they had brought in a Welsh loose forward. And this guy had gotten a couple of U20 caps with Wales, had played a bit with, I think he played for Cardiff, if I'm not mistaken, and ended up playing here in America. And people are like, oh, I wonder how we got that. And I had to think back. Labokanye had a really nasty knee injury a few years back because some guy had speared him, basically just went for his fucking knees, and he's a big guy. And he was out for a while for it. The player's name was Ben Fry. That's who was playing for the Jackals. He fucked up so bad in the URC that they got rid of his ass, and he ended up here. And he ended up retiring because this is kind of the end of the line if you end up here. But I kind of wondered if Vohan kind of put that together, oh shit, this guy took out one of your teammates. This guy took out one of your fucking teammates. And it's kind of funny to kind of see those guys. You see those guys that ended up here. We had
Dan Krill.
Dan Krill. I mean, obviously had a really good career, just never got a Springbok cap. A guy
I personally loved him when he was playing for the Lions,
Yeah. Juwan Oliver, who won a Curry Cup championship with the Cheetahs, also played cricket. He came over here, had a great career with Dallas and Houston, was number 9 of the year for one season, and is now playing, I believe, in Italy, maybe is where he's playing now. But it did give some opportunity for some of those guys. But a lot of those guys that ended up over here.
Ruben Das. He also got a chance there. He's played there for a very long time.
Yeah, well,
he even became a U.S. Eagle.
Well, so Ruben De Haas was a unique situation. His father moved here when he was in high school to Jesse. So that's how he qualified. He actually moved here as a kid. So same thing. We had a guy, Honko Hermesize. He was a USA Eagle. Honko had a funny accent. He had moved from Northern Cape to Nebraska. So he could, he could do a really, really good American accent. You couldn't even tell he was South African. And then he could turn his South African accent. We did it together when we met in Los Angeles. He was you turn your Canadian accent on, I'll turn my South African accent on. So we both did it while we were talking to each other, and it was hilarious, man. So, but yeah, I mean, you get those guys that just didn't have opportunities in South Africa and they've come here. Unfortunately, the MLR is just not a viable source anymore. I went to a club match this Saturday in Dallas, and there were 6, 7, 8 former MLR players playing on both of those teams, and they are all yeah, dude, that's done. I'm not doing that anymore. It's not viable for me to play in that competition anymore. And I get it, but I think the craziest thing was the head coach of the Austin team is the leading scorer for Tonga rugby history. He's their leading scorer ever.
You told me about that.
That was so heavy, man. Meeting him. I mean, they beat France in 2011 at the World Cup. He was the fly half that beat France at the 2011 World Cup. They were poised to make their first quarterfinal, and they lost to Canada, and that was why they didn't make the quarterfinal. So And then also meeting Sean Clark, which I've known him for years anyway. Sean Clark actually holds the distinction of the tallest wing to ever play a professional rugby match. He's 6'9" and he played wing. Like, he was a lock that could play wing.
No, wait. Who was that guy who was on the cross kick with Springboks, that wing? Or the lock? Peter Steff.
Peter Steff, yeah.
Call him Peter Steff.
We'll have to talk about that again at a later time, but like the Jerry or the Tony Brown influence, you see it on the Springboks. When you see Sia and Peter Steff out that wide, they're flankers. They're supposed to be in the middle with the shit. No, they're out fucking wide. They'll do that, and then they'll have a winger as support, and it's like you'll see it.
When it comes to the Springboks, these days everybody wants to be a wing.
God,
these days everybody wants to be a wing.
You're seeing it so much now. You'll see them do the. You'll see Manny do a chip kick to Peter.
There goes Peter. He's got long arms. You can grab him. You can jump as high as you want. You won't jump higher than that guy can reach.
God, man, it's so crazy to see it, man. Like it's not what you expect when you grow up watching the game, and then you see this 6'5" guy out wide, and you're like, what the hell? He's supposed to be in the middle with all the where the ruck is happening. And then you look at who's in the ruck, and it's like your
Cheslin holding it down.
Yeah, or you'll see your center is in the ruck. Your centers are in the ruck. And it's like, who does that? And then you realize, well, that's why you're the number one team in the world, because you do that.
Innovation.
Well, look, I haven't done the math yet, but I think Esterhuizen actually played equal amount of minutes at flanker and center in 2025.
That sounds very realistic. That does really sound very realistic, my friend.
Ethan Hooker, in the game that both him and Esterhuizen played in, Ethan Hooker did 3 scrums in that game. Ethan Hooker. Like, we're no longer, it's no longer a one-dimensional team. Like,
we have a player named Hooker who's a winger that plays on flank.
And also plays center.
Like, and also plays center on occasion.
Well, like, I mean, you saw it, like, if you didn't watch Chasing the Sun season 2, leading into that final, they called Chesney up and said, hey, can you play scrummy if we need you to? And he's like, yeah, coach, I'll play scrum half. And I've seen, it was a game a few years back when Hendrikse got injured, when he fucked his knee up. We got tackled wrong, fucked his knee up. Cheslin was taking the scrum. He was doing this feeding the scrums the rest of the game. Like, he took a scrum cap off and played 9 for the rest of the game.
But Cheslin can play 9. You see, he's a very versatile player himself. He's short enough. He's fast enough. You know, he's got the skill sets.
Yeah, and I mean, like Cheslin, if he had a little bit more size, I'd even play him at center. But we've seen him in trainings doing lineouts, throwing in lineouts. Like, it's who innovates like that? Who thinks outside the box? Rassie Erasmus, that's who. That's who. Like, no one else is doing that.
That is indeed. But my friend, can I just quickly bring up one more game from this weekend? No.
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
It's not a South African game, but it is a Lions game, you know, and I like Lions teams no matter where they come from. And just for interesting fact, for anyone who doesn't know, the Black Lions ended up beating Montreban, whatever you say that name from France.
Montpellier?
No, not that team. Montreban. I think they lost on the log. Oh, you can go Google it. But the Georgian team beat a team from France. No matter where they are in the top 14, they're still a top 14 team. You expect them to win that game.
Oh, man.
So well done, Black Lions, on getting a win. They did better than the Cheetahs.
We need the Cheetahs to do that at some point. They just, God, man. Like, once again,
but
I don't think we should be playing in the Challenger Champions Cup. It's just, especially the Cheetahs, because they don't even get to play at home. They got to play in Amsterdam the entire time.
But honestly, I enjoy the Cheetahs there. I think, like, Amsterdam has really, you know, accepted them and, you know, really embraced the Cheetahs.
Well, have you ever looked at the Netherlands national rugby team?
No, I have actually. I've watched a few of their games.
It's a lot of South Africans. There's a lot of South Africans on that team. So,
but but you're talking about the Cheetahs. The Cheetahs have their chance this weekend when they play against Racing 92 because Racing has not been playing very well this year. So if they're gonna pull a rabbit out of a hat, it's their chance is this year now.
All right, come on, Cheetahs, don't disappoint us like so many have in the past.
If you look at it this way, the Cheetahs and Racing 92 are the only two. Like their pool is completely sealed. Everybody, both of those teams are out already of the Challenge Cup. With a game to spend, they have to play each other now. So,
well, we'll talk about it next week when you come back, man. Hopefully, we'll be talking about absolute opposite results of this week, but I'm going to go ahead and say it, and this is going to piss off a lot of people. I don't know when the Bulls are going to win another game. They can't buy a win at this point, and I don't know when that's going to happen. Maybe when they play Scarlets or Dragons, maybe when they play Dragons again, maybe they get a win, but I just don't see it. After this last weekend, I don't see them getting a win anytime soon.
got tough at the Bulls, I'm not going to lie. Personally, I'm pretty glad about that because they're my least favorite South African team. Like, I'm not hating on them. If they're the only South African team left, I'll still support them. But out of all of the South African teams, they are my least favorite. And there's a very simple explanation why.
Because they're in Gauteng?
No, because I've never had a best friend who was a Blue Bull supporter. My very first best friend was a Shark from like primary school, and my high school best friend was a Stormer. So, you know, my second favorite team was the Sharks and then the Stormers. So the only reason.
My least favorite of the 4 URC sides in South, and they're not even my least favorite, they're just probably the team I support the least, is probably the Sharks. Just because, like, honestly, and Josh, if you watch this, I haven't had a lot of friends from the KZN. You just don't meet. I don't meet a lot of them online. I do now. I have quite a few KZN followers, but it was just kind of that team that existed. I mean, I remember when they were good in Super Rugby and everything, but it was just kind of like they were always kind of like the odd team out, I guess, a bit, because they didn't really, you know, Pretoria, Joburg, Cape Town, and then I guess Durban after that. So it's not considered.
I would also say lately my least favorite out of the 4 teams is the Sharks, but that's mainly because they keep poaching the Lions players. And that's really annoying. Because every time I see a player leaving the Lions, they're going to the Sharks. One after the other, and it's really annoying.
Well, I mean, we obviously saw Chris Smith make the move to the Lions this last year, and I think, I mean, obviously you're getting Bowen Venter next year. He's not with any of the teams. He's playing in Scotland, but
we also got, what's that boy, that new flanker's name? He got player of the match this weekend. I forgot his name now. He made his debut in the Challenge Cup. Starts with a B surname. He plays number 7.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name right now either.
We at least got him from the Sharks.
There you go. There you go.
So we got a return on our investment. We gave them 7 players. We got 1 back.
All right, man. Well, we'll be back next week. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to put this Oak's social media information underneath the video. Go give him a follow on Instagram and TikTok and wherever else you subscribe. He doesn't do it on the show here, but if you watch his social media videos, this guy, if you close your eyes sometimes, you'll be like, man, this guy's from fucking Mississippi or Alabama or Tennessee. I swear to God.
You know what, boy? Next week we'll do it. Next week I'll go all in with my accent. How does that sound, man?
Dude, I'm telling you, man, like you could. One last thing. If you didn't see did you see the A-Team movie?
The A-Team movie? No, I didn't.
Okay, so the A-Team was a action show that came out in the 80s.
You know what the A-Team means? You know the guys of the band, Mr. T.
Yeah. So one of the roles they gave in the film was to a South African actor named Charlton Copley. You saw him in like District 9, Chappie, all that stuff. Really great South African actor. but at the same time, yeah, his accent was terrible. They could have gotten you to do his role, and you would have been perfect. So, but yeah, guys, we'll chat you guys next week. Cheers.
Cheers, man.